is a young couple. They were part of the royal family. They were their royal highnesses. They're now just the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. We've exported them, Candace, to you.
Candace to you. And they're living happily on the West Coast. Meghan Markle is in tears again, but this time it's not because of the royal family, racism, or press intrusion. No, this time it's because no one is buying the performance. Conservative firebrand Candace Owens shredded Meghan Markle's entire career. She never wanted people to know that she was black. She never wore that on her sleeve. She never spoke about her blackness. If we had looked at her, I maybe would have assumed that she was Hispanic. No one would have ever guessed that she was black. It was never relevant to where she wanted to be in her career. Just shredded the Duchess's latest public meltdown during her appearance on the Jamie Kern-Lima show. Meghan, dressed in all white and blinking through crocodile tears, claimed she had no support and cried over being misunderstood. But Owens and much of the public aren't falling for it. They're calling it what it really is, PR manipulation, a stunt, a desperate move to relaunch a failed brand and revive a reputation built on victimhood. And when you look at Meghan's record, from her $20 million Spotify failure to her cringe-worthy Netflix series and that laughable Time magazine honor, who is partially black, but Meghan Markle didn't have any of her black family members at her wedding. This is a woman that was escaping her blackness throughout her entire life until she realized that it could be used to her advantage. And I find that to be despicably. It's no wonder critics are fed up. Let's break it down. Candace Owens didn't hold back on her show. She mocked Meghan's teary podcast interview as a performance piece, staged, manipulative, and frankly embarrassing. She cries on cue, that's what she does, Owens said. When she wants attention, she dials up the drama. Owens accused Meghan of using tears to promote her new As Ever brand, pointing out how the emotional segment just so happened to align with a flurry of lifestyle product trademarks, PR appearances, and social media rollouts. This wasn't a spontaneous moment of vulnerability. That they would end up in LA because that was Meghan's dream. Her dream was to be an A-lister, and she was unable to make it to those A-list parties on the basis of her own merit as an actress. She wasn't a very good actress, and so she figured out how to maneuver that by marrying. It was Meghan and Spotify's strategy. Owens said it best, she's an actress playing the role of a struggling mom while living in a mansion with millions in the bank. And let's not forget, this is the same Meghan who once compared herself to Nelson Mandela in an interview. Subtlety has never been her strong suit. Meghan and Harry's $20 million Spotify deal was supposed to be a groundbreaking collaboration, an unfiltered platform where Meghan could share untold stories of powerful women. What did we get? 12 episodes of archetypes, most of which sounded more like lectures than conversations. There was no consistency, no depth, and very little real insight. Spotify cut ties. With the Sussexes in 2023, sources told the Wall Street Journal that the pair didn't produce enough content to meet their contract. Spotify executive Bill Simmons didn't mince words. He called Harry and Meghan grifters. That's right, grifters. A term reserved for people who profit off deceit. And if that wasn't humiliating enough, Meghan tried to quietly distance herself from the failure. But the public didn't forget, and critics like Owens made sure of that. When Time magazine included Meghan in its list of 2024's most influential people, the backlash was immediate and brutal. Social media exploded with mockery. What exactly has she influenced? One viral post read. A generation of influencers who think victimhood is a brand. Even some left-leaning publications like The Independent and Slate questioned the criteria. Was it influence or just infamy? Times editors defended the pic, claiming Meghan had redefined modern royalty. I'd created for the kids these email addresses that, sort of like, names again that you would never guess that I will give them at some point in their lives when they're older. But before I go to bed almost every night, I email them. Wow. I email because it doesn't have to be a heavy lift. But critics weren't buying it. They pointed to her broken family relationships, her litigious behavior toward the press, and her long list of failed ventures. Influential, maybe, but for all the wrong reasons. Being on every headline doesn't mean you're making a difference. It might just mean you're a walking controversy. Meghan's new series, With Love, Meghan, was teased as a personal lifestyle-centered project, but early reactions have been scathing. Critics are calling it painful, vapid, and out of touch. The Daily Mail described the trailer as an Instagram reel stretched into a series, all glossy visuals, zero substance. Even The Telegraph weighed in, here's a picture of you two having breakfast, or here's you playing with the things that you're not going to frame, the things that you're not going to put pen to paper in a journal, but they will end up, one point in their life, maybe when they're 16 or when they're 18, that I say. Saying it felt derivative, sanitized, and self-obsessed. And this comes after the couple's Harry and Meghan, which had a massive premiere but saw its viewership plummet after the second episode. Netflix executives were reportedly underwhelmed by the couple's ability to deliver follow-up content that resonated. In short, Meghan's brand is collapsing under the weight of her own image. It's not authenticity, it's ambition dressed up as relatability. So what do we make of Meghan's podcast tears, her brand reboot, and the media frenzy that followed? Candace Owens and a growing number of Americans see through it. This isn't a woman rediscovering her voice. I have full body chills right now for your whole life. And here's everything and every moment that I wanted to tell you how much I love you and like how proud I am of you or of all things. Look back and go, oh my gosh, she has loved us so much. And that's, I think, the best part. It's a woman clinging to relevance. A woman desperately clinging to relevance. From Spotify to Netflix to Time magazine, Meghan Markle has left behind a trail of inflated promises, staged performances, and projects that implode under scrutiny. And the most humiliating part? The more she tries to rebrand herself as a beacon of empowerment and vulnerability, the more the world sees the truth. This is not a comeback. It's a spectacle, and the curtain may be falling faster than she thinks. If Meghan Markle thought the worst was behind her, she was wrong. Because after the staged podcast tears and a crumbling media empire, critics aren't just questioning her authenticity. I'm nurturing you and I see you so deeply and I love being able to see your growth and just so proud of them. So beautiful. Oh, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that one. Yeah, they're just the great. It's just so great. This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Questioning whether her American Riviera Orchard brand even matters anymore. This isn't just about a bad podcast or a flop Netflix show. It's about a public figure who promised transformation, empathy, and empowerment, and delivered a masterclass in vanity and self-promotion. From a mocked lifestyle brand to tone-deaf publicity stunts. Meghan's attempts to stay relevant are crashing faster than her Spotify contract. Let's dig into the next 3 bombshells Meghan doesn't want you to hear. Meghan's new lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, which now also includes the slogan as ever, was supposed to be her grand reinvention. But what did it offer? Jars of jam. Literally jars of jam sent to celebrity friends as some sort of highbrow soft launch. The internet immediately tore it apart. Is she trying to be Martha Stewart or just playing dress up? Critics asked. Will mean everything to your children. You do it for your partner too. Yeah. That is so beautiful. Oh, you should do it for the kids. Yeah, I'm having these like aha moments right now thinking about doing that and also about how many people are going to start doing that. Yeah, start doing that because that's so beautiful. And I think about like the Sussex. Even supporters of the Sussexes admitted the brand seemed disjointed, unserious, and tone-deaf in a time of economic hardship for millions of Americans. No website, no clear product rollout, just glossy Instagram reels of Meghan arranging flowers in a California kitchen while orchestral music played in the background. This wasn't entrepreneurship. It was ego marketing, and once again, Meghan's performance was center stage while substance was nowhere to be found. Adopted me, and when she passed away, like the things she said to me toward the end when she was basically like, whatever you do in life, don't change. It'd be so sad if you changed. And I'm like, anything? And you could, And she's like, basically what she is saying is who you are is enough. Like, I felt like seen and loved. One of the harshest truths Meghan faces right now is this: the public no longer trusts her. The podcast tears staged. The brand contrived. The storylines inconsistent. Critics from Forbes to The Atlantic have dissected the disconnect between Meghan's words and her reality. She preaches about struggle while living in a $14 million Montecito mansion. She talks about being silenced while holding exclusive deals with Netflix, Spotify, and Penguin Random House. Even her own family scandals, like the abandonment of her ailing father Thomas Markle, contradict her public image of compassion and kindness. The backlash isn't driven by misogyny or racism at this point. It's being driven by the realization that Meghan's brand of vulnerability may just be a marketing tool, not a truth. Sweet kids when they get that email and they just read it and that's there forever. Like, that is the most beautiful time capsule, all the things. And I do a lot, get your heart every day that you're giving to them in that way. Get your, like, and it becomes meditative for me too. But also like, I do a lot of voice notes of the kids, so I'll just have, look, no. The backlash goes further than the reaction to Meghan's Jamie Kern-Lima interview to see how the public tide has turned. Social media lit up, not with sympathy but sarcasm. You can almost hear the PR consultant off-screen. One viral comment said, Piers Morgan called it embarrassingly fake. Even former fans on Reddit and X, formerly Twitter, expressed disappointment in how manufactured the whole moment felt. Meanwhile, British press outlets like The Times and the Daily Telegraph openly questioned whether Meghan's emotional branding had finally backfired. No longer the victim, she's becoming the punchline. And in a world that craves authenticity more than ever, the Meghan machine feels outdated, artificial, and increasingly irrelevant. So what are we left with? So much. It's like they went through that stage where they were so little and they would go, Mama, can I hold you? 'Cause they didn't know. It's like, Mama, can you hold me? And I knew one day it would change, but I have it. I send them those voices like, here you are at 2 saying this, here's you singing a lullaby tonight, like, you got the voice note and then you emailed it. Yes. It doesn't have to be a video. It doesn't have to be something. It's just a woman who once walked away from the royal family in the name of freedom, now trapped by the same performance machine she claims to despise. Candace Owens didn't just criticize Meghan's podcast moment. She exposed the machinery behind it, every tear, every quote, every perfectly lit kitchen photo. It's all a strategy. But here's the problem, the audience isn't buying tickets anymore. We've seen behind the curtain, and what we see isn't resilience or reinvention. It's overexposure, vanity, and strategic victimhood disguised as inspiration. And it's turning Meghan Markle from media darling to media liability. If Meghan Markle believed her media reign would go unchallenged, the last few months have served as a brutal awakening. From being mocked for her Netflix presence to being crowned influential by Time magazine only to face ridicule online, her Hollywood comeback is starting to look less like a triumph and more like a well-dressed disaster. When Meghan debuted her Netflix series with Love, Meghan, it was sold as a new chapter in her journey, an intimate, glossy look at her lifestyle and values. But what audiences got instead was a soulless, overly polished, painfully scripted PR reel. Critics didn't mince words. The New York Post called it an insufferable vanity project. The Independent said it was slick but emotionally vacant, and countless social media users labeled it cringe, narcissistic, and unwatchable. Instead of substance, the show was filled with slow-motion shots of fruit bowls, flower arrangements, and Meghan smiling into middle distance while narrating her struggles in a $14 million Montecito mansion. This wasn't storytelling. It was ego branding masquerading as inspiration. There were no genuine moments, no conflict, no risk, just another reminder that Meghan isn't interested in authenticity, only applause. And even that is starting to run out. When Time magazine listed Meghan Markle as one of the 100 most influential people, it should have been a career high point. Instead, it became a lightning rod for backlash. Influential for what exactly? Was it her failed Spotify podcast, her crumbling family relationships, or perhaps the millions in media deals that have produced more controversy than content? Social media exploded with criticism. Even mainstream outlets questioned the decision. Newsweek ran a headline asking, "Has Meghan actually achieved anything this year?" Online forums, Twitter, and YouTube lit up with users calling it tokenism, a joke, and out of touch. The narrative flipped almost instantly from accolade to embarrassment. What Time failed to understand is that influence without integrity rings hollow. Meghan's name might still generate headlines, but fewer and fewer people believe what she's selling. At the heart of Meghan Markle's downfall lies a fatal flaw: her brand isn't built on truth. It's built on performance. From her orchestrated Oprah interview to choreographed paparazzi walks and now scripted podcast tears, everything she does feels calculated. She speaks of being silenced while dominating the media cycle. She claims to fight for women's empowerment but surrounds herself with luxury, status, and corporate deals. The public is catching on. Her actions don't match her advocacy. And whether it's walking past her ailing father in silence or preaching about mental health while ghosting family members, her contradictions are stacking up. What was once seen as brave is now viewed as opportunistic. What was once inspiring is now exhausting. The performance is wearing thin, and audiences can see through the filters, the tears, and the floral montages.